Welcome to the Weekly Dose of Stars. I'm your host, Graham Breitenstein, a professional dancer and movement coach for icons like, Idina Menzel, Lady Gaga, Meghan Trainor, just to name a few, turned professional astrologer, certified oracle card reader, and founder of Drunk Astrology. Each week on this podcast, I'm breaking down the astrological transits that need to be on your radar so you know exactly what energy to tap into and what opportunities to take advantage of in order to achieve your biggest goals, your juiciest manifestations, all while consciously co-creating your life with Team Uni. That's my affectionate pet name for the universe. So get ready. You're about to align your actions, dreams, and biggest manifestations with this week's Dose of Stars. Hello and happy Monday, Astro Lovers. We are here talking about the week of April 6th through the 12th, 2026. And man, oh man, do we have some fresh energy to discuss this week. This week, Mars is the headliner, which means it's time to move. It's time to take action. It's time to put on your battle armor and head to the battlefield of your dreams. What are you willing to fight for? What are you willing to take fierce action towards? This week, it's important to make that decision, to be very intentional with yourself and saying, this is what I'm working towards. This is what I'm taking action on. It means the most to me to do fill in the blank. All right, because Mars is doing a number of aspects and transitions this week that are peak commitment, peak action-oriented, and peak switching of your perspective. So we're going to dive all the way into it. But I think it's important to note that 2 weeks ago, we had Saturn as the headliner, right? And that was the conversation we were having in this podcast about how you are leveling up and what commitments you need to make in order to level up in your personal life, to level up in your career, to level up in your relationships, platonic, friendship, romantic, all inclusive there, right? And with Saturn, we had to make sound decisions, right? Because Saturn is the astro daddy of the cosmos. So we really have to satisfy that more old, wise energy, right? That knows through experience, knows through time, knows through execution over time, like what it takes to build solid foundations in your personal, romantic, and professional lives, right? So 2 weeks ago, that was the conversation that was happening in the cosmos. And as far as like my one-to-one coaching clients go, like we got so specific in how we were moving in that week, like different structures that support them in their own endeavors, right? And my coaching clients could not be more different from each other. So those structures look completely different, right? Based on what they're working on in their businesses, what they're working on in their relationships, what they're working on in their entrepreneurial endeavors and efforts, everything looked different. So these structures that we put in place to protect them on this journey were all very unique, right? And so I had a bird's eye view there of like, wow, look at these clients and like look at how different their lives are, but look how the conversation around leveling up like was transformative, which is exactly what we were looking for. But then we get to last week, where then Venus is the headliner. And Venus is, of course, the planet of love, the planet of relationships, the planet of surrounding money, financial matters, value, worth, and desire. And with last week's Libra full moon, Libra being one of the two signs that Venus rules, we had huge turn of events when it comes to how you connect with others. And at the foundation of your relationships, your sense of self-worth, the other party, the other entity, the other person, their sense of worth and value, and where they're meeting or not meeting. There was a realignment when it comes to relationships, right? And so, some I know for sure, especially some of my coaching clients who experienced that full moon in a way that was like, wow, this is a huge turning point for work for me. The entire nature of the foundation of this brand, of this business, is completely changing. And that was it very much indicated in her chart, even because the Libra full moon touched down in her 10th house. And it was very much like, oh shit, like, okay. Now, the positive there is that this specific client and we've been building her business for the last year and a half, right? So like, she's good when it comes to that, because plans have been put in place and we've been building slowly and surely over the last year and a half, like, so that if this moment were to come, that she'd be safe. And happy to say she's safe. And now we come into a week like this where now Mars is the headliner, right? So now we've gathered intel from the week 2 weeks ago when Saturn was the headliner. Build it. You need structure. You need commitment. You need responsibility. You need accountability. One of my coaching clients, we even established business hours for her, right? Because she's a single mom and hustling and doing all the things and building her business. And so we created business hours so that she's treating each and every day of the week like a work day, right? And she knows when she's expected to be working and to be on, and then when she's in mom mode and when she's taking care of everything else. So you go from structure, commitment, responsibility, accountability, to then connections, relationships, partnerships, your relationship to yourself, even a sense of worth and value, like how those themes are relevant. And then you go with that intel, boom. Now, this is what I'm willing to fight for. And what is so great about this week too is that Mercury retrograde officially comes to an end. On Thursday, April 9th, Mercury officially clears his retrograde shadow, which means now the full sequence, the full Mercury retrograde story comes to completion. So you can actually, and I encourage you this week, to go back to February 12th all the way through April 9th. Maybe you do this on Friday. And you look at everything that's happened, what conversations, what dreams, what memories were coming up, who did you talk to, what decisions did you make and or not make? Because now the nature of chapter 3 closing this all out is that it's time to integrate with clarity. But as far as this week goes, that integration is not just hypothetical. And this is the one thing that I really appreciate about Mars's energy, and in combination with Mercury, because Mercury is theory. Mercury's in our mind. It's hypothesis. Well, it could be this. It could be that. It might be this. It could be that. And Mars goes, yeah, who cares what it might be? Just do it. And that's really the big conversation this week. And so in your kind of mining for data during your looking back from February 12th through April 9th, I really want you out of your head and into your body this week. How do you want to move forward? What has become so super clear in this time frame? Now, of course, February 12th through April 9th, inclusive of that is your eclipse story. And so if you're in moon phase manifestor, you know, like you have tracked your Leo Aquarius eclipse stories, plus when you've been through them before and how they panned out. And you've also tracked your Virgo Pisces eclipse story. And you've also tracked, when you've been through them before, so that you could decide how you want to consciously and intentionally move forward. Because now we go into 6 more months of development of those two stories. So we're in chapter 1 of the Leo Aquarius story, but chapter 4 of the Virgo Pisces story. And so when you collect all the data from what it means to have eclipses across signs, Leo, Aquarius, Virgo, Pisces, and have them overlap, but also to look back to exactly when you have experienced these storylines before, how they transpired from beginning to end. Then you get that delicious opportunity to start consciously scripting the rest of your Virgo Pisces story, which will play out through February, March next year. And also your Leo Aquarius story, which is going to be playing out all the way through 2028. Right? So we've got some like big things happening and we've got big moves to make. You've got big moves to make this week. Mars is the headliner. He's not only going to just like make a great aspect while he's in Pisces, but he's also going to change into the sign of Aries, his favorite sign. And so that's also happening on Thursday, April 9th. Mercury will clear a shadow. Mars is also going to enter his favorite sign. And so what's important to note about Mars in Aries, one, yes, it's his home sign. So the energy, the motivation, the inspiration behind taking action is easy to access. That's when a sign enters its domicile position, if you're an astro nerd, when it's in its domicile position and a sign that it loves, its home sign, then we can all access the energy that planet represents. And so, of course, Mars is war, it's action, it's motivation, it's what gets us out of bed, it's what keeps us up at night because we can't stop thinking about it. And like the thought of doing something is like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. So Mars in Aries for the next several weeks now is like, okay, and per his conjunction to Neptune on Sunday, well, that alone, that conjunction is a cosmic contract, right? The planet of action, war, energy, momentum is coming into a contract with Neptune, the planet of hopes and dreams and fantasies. So that cosmic contract becomes, and I encourage you to look at it as a conscious opportunity to commit to whatever dream you are willing to fight for. And it doesn't have to be like a literal, like put on armor and go fight, but like fight for yourself, fight for the dream. Don't stop taking action, right? Coupled with this is the year of the fire horse energy. Mars and Aries will thrive in fire horse energy. Okay, so you really do have this delicious like 5-6 week window of time with Mars and Aries to commit to like, you know what? I'm not going to just be like some willy-nilly, like kind of in my head, be theoretical about my dreams, about manifesting. I'm actually going to commit to them. I'm going to commit to taking very intentional action. And you know, over here, we love manifesting. We love being conscious about it. We work with the moon phases to make it so easy to access, to make it so practical, to give yourself timelines of possibility, opportunity, and also like just like windows of time so that you're not like, oh my God, this all has to happen tomorrow. It has to happen overnight. You know, it's funny when you get into a rhythm with manifesting with the moon phases, it's really phenomenal how some things just unfold like damn near effortlessly. And that's really the nature. That's one of the like added benefits of working in sync with the moon phases. So this is a big week as it comes to all of this because we've got the green light with Mercury clearing his shadow, and also the encouragement with Mars to say, don't just be hypothetical about your dreams. Don't just be theoretical. Don't like sit there in the balance of like, oh, well, it could be this and I could do that and I could do this, I could do that. Mars says, screw that. Get out of your mind and get into your body. Move, move, move. Okay? Now, the other thing I wanted to point out with Mars is that on Wednesday, April 8th, he does have a sextile to Uranus. Now, at this point, Mars is still in Pisces. It's his last day in Pisces, which is essentially like putting the bully through spiritual school. All right, so for the last like 5-6 weeks, you know, we've We've had some, like great spiritual momentum, I will say. Like there's a number of you who have registered for the Raise Your Vibe retreat in the Outer Banks this year. Mars and Pisces, great, right? That spiritual movement, a spiritual retreat, right? I mean, astrology, like I really look at it as like woo woo and math and science. It's pretty practical, right? Like when we get into the oracles, that's when we really get into the woo woo space, in my opinion, right? Because astrology is a system. It has been around for eons and eons, and it is tracking the positions, the angles of planets to each other. And then, the woo woo part is like the symbolism that comes with those planetary influences. So Mars and Pisces has been great for like the spiritual release, the spiritual retreats, for the spiritual baddies to like unite and like, yes, let's move like this. Let's all pray together. Let's manifest together. Let's do sound work, sound baths. Let's do breath work. It was great for like resting and recovering, letting go, letting things dissolve as it needed to, like having to learn with Mars and Pisces, like maybe like I don't need to overexhaust. Maybe I don't need to overexert myself. Maybe instead of like pushing myself to swim every friggin' day, this is my hand up. Maybe take the signals from your body to just like, you know what? I'm going to take a few days off. I'm going to listen to my body, right? With Mars and Pisces, we had to be way more in tuned and into our intuitive side and listen to our bodies instead of like Mars's nature is just go, 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 like do, do, do. And so the shadow side, of course, of that is burnout. And something that we have to be mindful of all year of is burnout with the fire horse energy, because it is so fiery, it's so passionate, it's so action oriented. But the downside of that is that burnout's a real thing. So you have to be really mindful. And Mars and Pisces was really that reminder, like, hey, by the way, eclipses have been a bitch. Mercury retrograde threw corkscrews in the mix. Like, just chill, just chill. And I definitely learned to listen, which is not easy for me. I have some first house planets, man. So this Virgo is very like go, go, go. And when I have to flow, 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 it takes conscious intention. But I will say am very pleased with how I did. So with this sextile to Uranus on Wednesday, creative, spiritual opportunities can move forward, right? Now, the ultimate message here is to shift your perspective and then grow and then move. The sextile is we're crossing elements. Mars is in water, Uranus is in earth. Those two mix together to make fertile soil where things grow. But the growth has to happen with a shift of perspective. And not again, because Mars is in the equation, we can't just shift our perspective from a cerebral standpoint. We have to then go, aha, I see this in a different light, and now I'm going to do fill in the blank. So just keep all of this in mind as you move throughout your week. Action, action, action. Out of your head, into your body is the way to go. Okay? And last but not least, like of this week, we do have the Capricorn fourth quarter moon, which is the midpoint between last week's Libra full moon and next week's Aries new moon, which y'all know that's what I consider the real astrological new year, when the sun and the moon come into their conscious contract in the first sign of the zodiac, aka Aries. Like, yes, 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 I'm excited about leading the Aries new moon training inside Moon Phase Manifester next week, because that Aries new moon is just so delicious for like, it's really kind of like Astro shade, because it's like, yeah, screw your January 1st. We love Lunar New Year. And then this is our like real third opportunity. Like there's the turn of the calendar year, there's the turn of the lunar year, and now here's the turn of the astrological new year. And so like big invitation for you to like, if The first 3 months rocked your world. Again, my hand is up. They have definitely rocked my world. Things do not look the same, which, astrologer Graham predicted for himself back in August 2025. He was right, and sometimes I hate when he's right. But needless to say, things look completely different here, and so I am personally using the Aries new moon as my own personal new year, right? Not just for the collective, but for myself. And I invite you to do the same. And I can't wait to lead that training with everyone so that, you can use this as an opportunity to completely just reset and to like reorient yourself to your reality now and then move accordingly. So I'm this quarter moon as that midpoint, with Capricorn, with the moon in Capricorn, we're looking at, the work that you got to put in, maybe some accolades, some recognition, structure, and discipline. But the sun in Aries is about taking action. It's also about expressing anger, making bold moves, taking courageous action, acceleration, right? So some work stories can accelerate. The nature of the square between the sun and the moon can be stressful, tension, and what's the word I'm looking for? Stressed, challenging, tension-inducing, etc. But ultimately, it's a call to action. Let's talk about Monday and then get on up out of here so we can start living our week. Let's see here. As Monday, April 6th, 2026 begins, the moon is in a happy place. She is in the sign of Sagittarius, and she loves, loves, loves being in Sagittarius because it's the sign of optimism. And so if you are all humdrum on Monday as you start the week, this is your invitation to flip your perspective. It's more accessible for you to change your outlook here. And with Sagittarius, travel, expanding your mind, broadening your horizons through new experiences, cross-cultural experiences. Basically like, learning something new, expanding your mind through a new experience, all wrapped up in Sag energy. So a beautiful, beautiful energy and opportunity to flip your script if you're a little low and access that optimism through all of those Sagittarius themes we just talked about. There is a soul level sextile to Pluto at 3:10 a.m. Pacific. And so there's a great opportunity there for soulful connection, moving forward towards something that excites you, like maybe a travel experience that excites you, opening a book that really excites you and thrills you, just there's a little bit of like a getaway energy there that's good for the soul. Trine to Saturn at 5:03 a.m. Great day to make a solid commitment around this, like to make a travel plan, to commit in some way to, to an optimistic outlook. What else could we look at that as? It's action. Saturn's in Aries, Moon's in Sag. So like anchoring in on the actions you're going to take, big time energy there. And then there is a quincunx to Venus at 9:56 a.m. So a corkscrew there within relationships and partnerships. The quincunx of it all is a little bit of a annoyance, frustration on the front. So, some people as you start your day might kind of work your nerves. But again, the quincunx is our silver lining aspect and energy. Sometimes you have to be in hindsight to kind of find what that is. But ultimately, I love this new perspective I have on quincunxes, which is just like, will this matter to me next week? Will this matter to me in a month? Will it matter to me in 3 months? And then decide like, okay, is this just one of those like temporary transits, which all transits are temporary. So that's something that you can lean into as well. It might just be one of those moments where like, oh my God, I'm going to laugh at this in a week. But like right now, sucks balls. Let's get our bad bitch affirmation on Monday, April 6th and get us all going into our week. What do you have for us? Exhale the bullshit. Time to fucking meditate because that shit does wonders. Start by getting into lotus position. Take some deep breaths into your diaphragm. Now, repeat after me. Inhale. I am the baddest motherfucker in existence. Exhale. Fuck all that other bullshit. Hell yeah, that's the note I wanna leave on. Happy Monday, happy week of April 6th through the 12th. I cannot wait to do this week with you, out of your mind, into your body. I'll see you next time. Bye. Astro Lover, did you love this week's astro forecast? Well, just wait until you're inside the daily dose of stars. Right now, you're waking up and feeling pulled in a million directions. You're buzzing with anxiety about your new meeting. You're doom scrolling for 30 minutes before you even leave the bed. You're overwhelmed by news headlines, decisions about deadlines at work, and constantly distracted, which, of course, leaves you feeling off, unmotivated, and stuck in a loop of doing a million things but getting nowhere. My friend, this is because you haven't checked the daily energetic weather report. Riddle me this. Would you ever take a trip to Europe or go camping without checking the actual weather? Hell no. So why are you going through life without checking the energy for the day ahead? The Daily Dose of Stars gives you bite-sized astrological guidance every single morning. So you know exactly what energy you're working with, exactly what to avoid, and what moves to make in order to activate the opportunities that are available for you to seize. So no more guessing, no more chaos, no more feeling pulled in a million directions and saying, what the hell is in the air right now? You'll know exactly what's in the air, and you'll also know exactly what the actual F to do with it every friggin' day. So when you're ready to start co-creating your best life with the universal energy in real time, hop inside the Daily Dose of Stars. The link to subscribe is in the show notes below. Simply scroll down and tap the link. I'll see you there.